Hi,
Hey, Mike, how are you?
good.
What's going on?
So I sent you a note last night. The chief came in to talk to us about the shootings,
I got
but
that.
then also he said they were 60 police officers short, and I pulled up a copy of the first quarter vacancy report, which said that at the end of March they were 83 officers short. To which he responded he didn't know anything about that, so I emailed him.
You didn't know anything about the quarterly report.
Yeah, the official vacancy report.
Wow. Okay. Hey, I'll be right back, Mike. I'll be right back. Just give me a
Yeah,
sec.
okay.
Ooh, it's really bright now. Hey, John.
Hi there.
How are you?
Okay.
Hi.
So, Mike, did you want to talk a little bit about our process with the playground redesign?
Yes, let me get my folder, but I don't have, can, can you screen share I got the hard copy.
What's that, Mike?
Can you screen share the couple of the design pictures that they showed?
Yeah, I think the last one I have was from early July, the last presentation we got from Compan.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah,
could
and we
share.
basically agreed. They're taking down four swings, but they're putting in four new swings. They're putting
Okay.
in a new climber. Putting in a slide for the hill, but they might wind up doing that next season.
Okay.
Um, yeah, if you have the slide here, let me grab my file. 'Cause I
Yeah,
have
and
the
I'll
hard
pull
copy.
I'll pull up the version that the last version we got. So if you want to.
Okay, okay.
Hi,
I'm gonna
Katie.
grab my file on it.
Hi,
Thanks for joining us tonight.
I almost said good morning.
Thanks a bunch for joining us.
No
Appreciate it.
problem. Thanks for having me.
Okay, we got John Walsh. Good to see you, John. Hi, Ray Moran. We have Chris Marini.
Good to see you, Jack.
Good to see you too. Hi, Chris. How are you?
Hey, how you guys doing? I'm with DGS and I'm just sort of hopping on if there's any questions on our side with what Katie's going to talk about.
Great. Thank you, Chris. Thanks for joining us. Officer Storiali, good to see you, sir.
Hi, Zach.
We can do the APD update first before the water department, if that's okay.
So Zach, I got the hard copy
Great.
of the slides from that early July meeting. So it's $131,961 budgeted for bringing the existing equipment up to standard and putting new equipment in. And there's one slide, well, there's a couple of slides. There's the one with the map of where we're gonna put the new, well, I'm looking at one page, it says new toddler playground, all new surfaces and borders, removal of old equipment that the one swing had been hit by something, a truck or something.
Yeah.
So, so the biggest additions are going to be the toddler playground, the new swings, the new slide, and
Good. Well, Mike, we can, I'll pull it up after the presenters and then. we can-
okay.
Everybody. Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Just going to give it a couple more minutes, everybody. Okay. Oh. Okay, good job.
Hey, Zach, can you hear me?
Sure can, Vince. Good to see you, sir.
Well, thank you very much, Zach, because I had one of the meetings I was on, I had a little trouble with the audio. So I'll mute myself. Thank you again.
Thanks, Vince. Thanks, Vince. All right, everybody. It's Margaret has her hand up. Hi, Margaret. Oh, Peg. Hi, Peg.
Margaret is futzing around. My apologies, trying to reach mute. Here.
That's okay. All right, we're going to get the show on the road. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. I'm Zach Simpson, the founder and coordinator of the Uptown Neighborhood Cooperative. It is a 5-neighborhood-wide community collaborative that includes Eagle Hill, Melrose, Upper Washington Avenue, Pine Bush, and Beverwick. And we meet every so often to have presenters, the Albany Police Department and others join us, as well as give neighborhood updates, as well as citywide updates. So thanks everybody for joining us. It's been a while. I guess to start out the meeting tonight, I would like to have representatives from the Albany Police Department go first with any updates. Got Officer Storiali, Officer Johnson.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. So I do have a few things that are going on that I'd like to discuss with everyone. First, involving the recent shootings that have occurred in the city of Albany. Our detectives are working around the clock in order to solve these. They recently made an arrest involving a juvenile in one of the shootings that occurred in the area of Benson and Ontario Street. That juvenile was already on probation for possession of a firearm. So, you know, he's going through the criminal justice process as we speak. Another thing that's going on are there have been several package thefts in the area. A lot of people have Ring doorbell. So we do have an image of the suspect involved. If I could just let everyone know, you know, when they do get these packages delivered to their home, as soon as you get that notification and it's there, please grab it, because people are literally walking the streets in order to steal packages from front doors. We've had some car larcenies in the area, so I like to remind everybody, please keep your car doors locked and make it as though your car is brand new. Don't even have change in the center console. Don't leave a phone charger hanging out. Just make it look like the day you bought it. And I mentioned it at the Beverwick Neighborhood Association meeting. We are getting a ton of complaints regarding scam calls. It really affects the elderly, and I want to let all you know, just to let your neighbors know, especially the elderly, let your parents know, grandparents, don't give any information over the phone, hang up, don't even give them your name. So even if they say they're the police, try to verify that, have them verify that. Does anybody have any questions for me?
Go ahead, Mike. Michael Bryan.
Yeah, how are we on vacancies with the police department? I know you guys are working short, and you got the sheriffs and the state police still in
Yeah,
doing motor vehicle
so right now,
speeding.
Mr. O'Brien, we're working, we're fully staffed. Just due to the increase in violence in the city, the Albany County Sheriff's Department, as well as the state police now, I believe, are giving us a hand in extra manpower. So the sheriffs are out there conducting, more proactive policing. They're stopping cars. They're following up on some of the shootings that have occurred just on the street. Our detectives are investigating, but just based on what's going on right now with the extra, the violence throughout the city, they are assisting in extra manpower.
Yeah, because the council gets these vacancy reports quarterly, and I haven't seen the one for the second quarter, but the one for the first quarter of 2021 said the police department had 83 vacancies. Now, I know there's a class, which I think started in December, maybe.
They'll be coming out very soon on field training. And
Okay.
the chief also mentioned that he's looking to hire a lot more people. I think 50 to 100. I'm not exactly sure. So get the word out there to any relatives you may have or neighbors that if they're interested in a job in police work, to apply, because now's the time to get this job, because we're looking.
Yeah. Okay.
Sal, this is Ray Moran. We've heard a lot about the incident with the German Shepherd killing a dog at Westland Hills the other day. And I believe Mike has spoken up about it, and so has Ray Joyce. What is the status of that case at this point?
I don't know about that case at this point. I'm covering this meeting right now for someone else. So I'm just discussing certain things that I've seen. I haven't heard anything about the killing of the dog in Westland Hills. Could you fill me in on that?
I think Ray has his hand.
Ray has his hand up. Ray Joyce.
Yeah, no, I know. Sal, I think you may have grown up over there, didn't you?
Yes.
Yeah. So what happened was a young lady who lives on Colvin was walking her dog in Westland Hills, and a German Shepherd. This smaller dog. And can you hear me?
I think we lost you for a little bit, but
I'm
now
sorry.
we hear you.
The German Shepherd attacked a smaller dog in the park, and the dog unfortunately died. But just to follow up, the police department, animal control, was out there Monday. They did impound the German Shepherd, and they're awaiting a trial in city court to determine what the next steps are for the dog. Apparently, it's been a problem in that neighborhood for a while. The dog lived on Pinehurst, Sal. You might be familiar with it.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for that, Ray.
We
Yeah,
also
please-
have
Please did a quick, just for the record, getting out there right away. So I appreciate that.
we also
I couldn't.
go ahead.
No, Ray keeps breaking up. I didn't get the rest of that.
I'm sorry. I just said the police did a great job getting out there right away and getting animal control involved. So I appreciate that. So thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Just one, we have Officer Dan Webster and Officer Dan Johnson. Did you gentlemen have anything additional?
Hey, sorry about that. I'm in Cape Cod. I almost forgot about the meeting. Sal reminded me. Yes, Sergeant Iacona and Lieutenant Flack went really fast on getting that dog situation handled. They did a great job. So I did speak to the victim. She was very distraught, understandably. But yeah. So hopefully, it's in the judge's hands now.
Well,
Questions, concerns, otherwise, or anything? Sorry. Are you guys there?
That's okay. That's okay. Actually, Katina, you have your hand up. Go ahead, Katina.
Yeah, Zach, I just want to thank you as well for all your efforts with reaching out to the victim and pursuing everything. I really appreciate it.
oh my God.
Oh, no problem at all. No problem at all.
Okay, why don't we go ahead and go on to the water department. We have Katie McKittrick here. And Katie, thank you for joining us. Thank you very much. And you're going to be discussing some green infrastructure, correct?
Correct. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. I did just actually present at the Beverwick Neighborhood Association on lead services. Actually, let me do this. A few weeks ago, so I see some familiar faces, which is good. And I can mention this at the end as well, but I was presenting to the Beverwick Neighborhood Association specifically on lead services and the water department's rather new lead service replacement program. So if your neighborhood association or this group is interested in that specifically at a later date, just let me know. Just send me an email or give me a call and we can set that up as well, because that's pretty new and pretty high priority to a lot of people. Okay, but today I am a colleague of Mallory's and of Neil's, who you might know a little bit better. They have given presentations, I believe, specifically to the Melrose Association, Neighborhood Association, and maybe to this group as well before about flooding in Melrose neighborhood and along Western. And so I'm just going to be talking a little bit about a project that's going on Hawthorne Avenue in collaboration with DGS, and Chris Marini is on the call as well, because he can speak to that project and to the construction and the paving a little bit more specifically than I can, if anybody has any additional questions for Chris. But I just wanted to briefly, because I think it's been a little while, reintroduce this topic. Feel free to interrupt me at any time if you have questions. I don't know exactly what this group already knows, so feel free to interrupt. I think everybody is probably aware that we have flooding issues all over the city, mostly because our old infrastructure wasn't built for the high intensity storms that we get nowadays. So we worked with an outside company, their name is Arcadis, to help model what on-street flooding looks like in high intensity rain events, much like the rain event that we got a couple days ago. Hit this neighborhood a little bit less hard than it hit other areas of the city, I think, but that was a pretty intense rain event and still small compared to some of the rain events that we see. So Arcadis helped us model high intensity rain events, and we also sent out residential survey to our most impacted neighborhoods to get a better understanding of where our basements flood. If you're not aware of this, anytime you have a backup into your basement during a rain event, or you're having flooding in your basement, we highly encourage you to call the water department, because we don't know where it's happening unless you let us know, or unless your neighbors let us know. So certainly give our dispatch a call, and I can send out that phone number, or make sure Zach has that phone number if anybody is interested in it or needs it, if you have that issue. So again, I think everybody is aware of these flooding issues. You might also be aware that we've done the modeling and we've done the survey response. And so now we're working on what our solutions are, given this data. And while there are many types of solutions, some ranging to nearly $20 million to help solve flooding, the bottom line is that we have to create space somewhere, whether that is with green infrastructure or with big boxes under the ground to store water. We have to create some place for stormwater to go, because there's not enough room in our pipes to hold it. So it ends up in basements and it ends up flooding on the streets. So today we're specifically talking about the Green Infrastructure Initiative on Hawthorne. On Hawthorne, we're using porous pavement, and we're also implementing some new street trees. Green infrastructure, if you're not familiar, is just a way to establish natural systems to soak in and slow down rain. So we want to basically take care of the rain, manage stormwater where it is falling, rather than putting it in a pipe and sending it down to somebody else's street or somebody else's neighborhood and letting it flood elsewhere. We want to capture it and figure out what to do with it, store it, send it up into the skies, send it into some trees where it's actually falling. So that's achievable with porous pavement. I think most of this group is probably pretty familiar with what porous pavement does. Most of our typical pavement, water runs right across it. You see it running down the curb lines when it rains hard. Porous pavement is made up of a slightly different material and cured in a slightly different way, so that water can soak through it into the soil underneath, rather than running down it. And street trees, obviously, trees are a very important asset in urban environments for a whole list of reasons, but they do also help soak up a lot of stormwater. And on Hawthorne specifically, the way we're implementing this infrastructure is with what's called a structural soil. So underneath the porous pavement that's going to be on the curb lines on Hawthorne, you won't actually be able to see the difference like it's shown here. I don't imagine. Chris might be able to answer that question better, but it's probably not going to look a whole lot different between the normal asphalt and the porous asphalt that'll be on the curb line. Water will be able to soak into that and soak into these structural soils, which is just a soil that's really good at holding water. It has more space in it than a typical soil. So that gives the water a space to go, and also it gives tree roots more room to grow, hopefully more room to grow underneath the sidewalks as well, instead of pushing those sidewalks up like we often see, especially in our neighborhood. I'm in the Melrose neighborhood as well. And all over the city, that's a problem. So hopefully the structural soils will help with that. And it's also important to note that this is kind of, while we've implemented porous pavement in a couple places in the city, the Melrose neighborhood, we know because of testing over the years, has uniquely infiltrative soils for the city of Albany. So much of Albany has clay soils that water can't really soak into, which is one of the reasons we have a flooding problem. The Melrose neighborhood has really good soils for soaking water in. The problem is we've covered so much of the Melrose neighborhood with pavement and our houses that are close together and our driveways. So what we're doing with this project is recreating a place for that water to go rather than moving it across pavement and into pipes or into intersections or into our basements. We're putting that porous pavement in so it can get to and take advantage of those infiltrative soils, those soils that are good for holding water or soaking in water. And also, I know that at a previous meeting, possibly just a previous Melrose Neighborhood Association meeting, possibly this group, I'm not really sure. We've introduced really large, massive potential solutions that cost between, like I said, 10 and $20 million. These types of projects, like on Hawthorne, are much more immediate ways to see flooding relief and backup relief, and more cost effective as well. There's things that we can implement with DGS every year while we're in the process of planning those much larger scale projects. And so I know this might sound really small and very local. So I wanted to talk about how a project like what's going on in Hawthorne helps in the grand scheme of things, in the bigger picture. Number one, like I mentioned, this helps the neighborhood on Hawthorne Ave, that street in particular. It helps them take responsibility for the stormwater that's actually falling on their street. So when the water falls right here on Hawthorne, I hope that's Hawthorne. Yes, that's Hawthorne. When the water falls right there on Hawthorne, on the street, it's going to be taken care of up to a certain extent right there. They're not pushing it down to Melrose, and they're not pushing it down to Western to make somebody else's problem. They're taking care of it right there because it's going to be soaking into the ground better than it is right now. And when we repeat these small projects here and on other streets as they get paved, or as other work occurs on these streets, we help take care of that problem little bit by little bit, and we help keep some of that water from focusing on Melrose and focusing on Western and these downstream neighborhoods. So it's a small thing for the neighborhood on Hawthorne to go through a little bit of extra construction for us and for their neighbors downstream to take care of some of their water. And it's also a really good opportunity for the water department to work together with DGS so that we're digging one time, doing construction one time to make a benefit in two different areas. They're getting a new street and new sidewalks, but we're also taking care of some stormwater and making the neighborhood better in that way as well. So that is the small snippet that I had for green infrastructure, specifically for Hawthorne and the Melrose neighborhood. So I'm happy to take any questions about that at this time. And if I don't have any, that's also good.
Yeah, I get a question for you. The big project down at Lincoln Park, and I assume just that project alone is going to help all the upstream communities. I mean, they're blasting away an enormous hole, and I think the cost of that project is in the tens of millions of dollars, I think up to 50 million. And I don't know, maybe you could just comment about that when that's going to be finished.
Sure, I can comment about that.
Yeah.
You're right. That's a very massive project. I don't think you said the name of the park. If nobody's familiar, the Beaver Creek project is a really massive scale project that's happening in Lincoln Park at the moment. So not only is that going to create a big water and sewer infrastructure need, but in turn it's also revitalizing the park a little bit, which was also needed. So two things. One is primarily, the primary purpose of that project, it has many benefits, but the primary benefit is that we will be treating water, sewage before it gets to downstream treatment plant Hudson River. So it's helping to clean the water up before it gets to the river, basically. Second is, yes, it's a very expensive project, but one of the things to note about it being very expensive is that Albany's not the only community paying for it. We're part of what's called the pool communities. So all of the communities that overflow into the Hudson River in our area, so including Cohoes and Rensselaer and Troy. And this is not my expertise, so forgive me if I'm getting anything wrong and somebody notices it. If you have more specific questions about this, I can certainly send you to the person to ask them to. But those communities are also paying percentages of this project because we all kind of work together to help clean up the Hudson River from what is very old infrastructure that's going to take a long time for us to fix. Yes.
So
I
like
see.
when is the Lincoln Park project supposed to be finished?
Right.
Later?
Yep. So there are many phases, and some of those phases will be done a lot faster, even this year. But the whole thing is scheduled to be done in 2 years from this past spring. So I believe that would be looking at spring of 2023.
How does the Lincoln Park project help prevent flooding upstream?
The Lincoln Park project doesn't help prevent flooding upstream necessarily. What it does is makes things run, if anything, for up here, it makes things run smoother down there, so that we can get water moving more quickly, more cleanly. The Lincoln Park project is a project required by DEC because we spill into the Hudson River because we're a CSO.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Katie, we got a couple hands up. First is Joe Kniff. Joe, go ahead. Just gotta unmute yourself, Joe.
Thank you. I did.
Oh.
Hi, Katie.
Hi, Joe.
Couple of things I wanted to bring up. Number one, question for you about porous pavement. If water gets in it and it's right around freezing, does that ice break the pavement up? I mean, is this country, North Country, a reasonable place to put porous pavement?
Chris, do you want to take this question?
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly something worth considering that we thought about. If water were sit in the storage area and then freeze, could it pop that strip of asphalt up? But one, we're very comfortable with the infiltration rates we have there. The sub-base, tests were run on the sub-base that the water department oversaw, and it infiltrates the underlying soils much even quicker than the water infiltrates the porous asphalt. So I don't think we feel very certain that's not the area would fail. On top of that, we did continuous trenches all the way downhill. So at the very least, the water is gonna still run downhill, like within the reservoir to the end of the street. And I guess worst case scenario, we would have localized issues at the end of the road. But ultimately, we just feel comfortable that the water will infiltrate.
Right.
And it hasn't been an issue in the porous pavement we've installed thus far in the city of Albany.
Excellent. Anything's better than nothing to avoid getting more stormwater in a combined sewer overflow system. So I think that's great.
Thanks, Chris.
And so now I wanted to make a comment because I've been working with Katie, or at least I think you've been working with me, Katie, on the lead pipe replacement. And I know you're not going to get into it tonight, but there's a grant program the city has, and she made it painless. I had my lead pipe replaced while I was getting my sewer pipe replaced, And the day that it was done, all the paperwork was complete and we're just waiting. So I think it's a wonderful program. And Katie, thank you for that.
Yeah, thanks. I can send this out. I figured it was worth it to put this at the very end, even though this isn't what I'm talking about tonight. I've gotten questions both about the lead service replacement program and the cured in place pipelining program, both of which I'm the project manager for prior to this meeting from members of this group. So that is there. Take my email down, take my phone number down so that I can answer those questions for you at a different time.
Thanks, Katie. Let's go to Maura McNulty and Melrose. Maura, go ahead.
Hi. So first of all, thank you very much. That was extremely interesting and informative. My second question is, one of the reasons that the park project seems like such a good idea is the problem is that we're dumping tons of raw sewage into the Hudson, right? And so I'm wondering, I'm asking this for myself and just as a person who lives here, but I'm also asking as a teacher, because I would love a source of information that shows us how much sewage is getting dumped and when that happens. Is there a way is there a source of information for that?
Yes. So I think I am going to encourage you to write down my email and send me an email.
Okay, gotcha.
So that I can send it directly to you. But yes, we report, and all the communities that overflow into the Hudson River report when it is happening and for how long it's happening for, and approximately how much is overflowing through DEC. So it's a program called NIALERT, but I can get you the direct information if you send me an email.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate it. And thanks again. It's been a great learning experience tonight.
Thank you.
I think I saw another hand up. Was it, Ray Joyce, did you have your hand up, sir?
I'm sorry, can you hear me okay, Zach? I was cutting in and out earlier.
Yep, you're good.
Okay, yeah, just a quick question, to Joe's point about where to put the stormwater. I heard earlier today that the city water department worked with National Little League about pumping some of this water onto the fields for hydration. Is that a myth, or did that really happen?
That's true. It's stormwater that we store under the ball fields. Several years ago, there was a big project to put stormwater storage underneath the ball fields. And we've recently completed the portion of that project that pumps the water up to be able to irrigate the fields when they need it.
Okay. The only reason there'll be follow-up emails, I'm sure, on that one, because as you know, Calvin Avenue, you've done a ton of work there and we appreciate that. And there's been a lot of flooding in Calvin, but Westland Little League has been struggling with hydration issues for years, and they were wondering if they could do the same thing, but that's I'll email. Thank you.
Okay, so Vince, you had your hand up?
Yes,
Vince,
I've talked to Katie, but Katie, on this porous asphalt, questions have been asked numerous times about how do we keep the porous asphalt clean? Over a number of years, that it will fill in with sand, dirt, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So once that happens, I would say that this porous asphalt is no longer effective. So how do I continue to keep this effective?
That's a great question. So we have invested at the water department into equipment. It's a sweeper, sort of like you see right now on your neighborhood streets. Every once in a while, go down and sweep, but it's specifically for pavements like porous asphalt. But you're right that eventually, just like all of your normal pavement needs replaced eventually, so will the porous asphalt. But until then, we have specialized sweeping equipment that sucks up the particles from inside the asphalt.
I have another question on the Lincoln Park project. Now, we know that at the project, it's going to get separated. Water is obviously going to flow to the Hudson, and the waste that comes out of that going underground, where's it go? Nobody, they don't tell us where it's going to go. Where does it go?
So what happens now is all of this sewage and on a good day when it's not raining goes to the treatment plant. And all of that gets taken care of at the treatment plant. The Lincoln Park project is additional treatment, basically, before the water goes to the treatment plant, before the water goes to the Hudson in an overflow event. And that waste gets, as far as I know, I'm going to be speaking out of turn here probably, but as far as I know, that gets taken care of in Lincoln Park and then removed from Lincoln Park. But
Correct.
that's a little bit beyond.
And it goes the way I was understood, that the waste that gets separated from water, that it goes underground. And where does that waste go though? I mean, it's not going to go into the Hudson. The water's going in the Hudson. So where does all the debris that I extract out of the water, where does that debris go?
Yeah, that gets removed at the Lincoln Park Center and taken away, trucked away.
I got you. Okay. I have one other question. Are you going to discuss this project that we now have going on in the city with the water department lining our pipes with a resin?
So that project is one that is ongoing this year. Yes, the cured in place pipelining project. I can discuss that with you at another time. So I'm not taking up too much time of this meeting, but that is something that we've been doing for years and years in the city, and we're just now getting better about communicating exactly what's happening so our residents know why there are trucks on the street and why they might be smelling a chemical odor that comes from what goes inside the pipe. It's a pretty painless rehabilitation method, and the alternative to that method is digging in the streets and replacing the sewers. So it's really exciting that we don't have to do that and we can do all the work underground in one day. But I'm happy to discuss that further as well.
All right, one more question, Joe Kniff, you had your hand up there?
Yes, I just wanted to mention that I do receive notices whenever there is a combined sewer overflow in any of the pool communities. And that notice that I got on the 27th said that it happened at 4 o'clock on the 27th, and it was ongoing, and 12,750,000 gallons were estimated to have discharged into the Hudson. This is from a thing called everbridge.net, and it's a New York alert. So I think if you do get in touch with Katie, she can tell you how to get set up with that information.
Yep, I can certainly do that. And just so you know, Joe, that number is based on a model. It's an estimated number based on a model.
All right, well, Katie, thank you very much. I appreciate you, presenting to Beverwick and us here. And if there's any notable events, just, send me an email and we can make everybody aware of it. So thank you, Katie.
Exactly. And I'll go ahead and send this PowerPoint to you, Zach, that way you can distribute it and so that everyone has my email that might want it. And if you guys don't mind, I will hop off this call while you guys continue with the rest of your meeting.
Great. All right. Thanks, Katie, very much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. So the next presenter tonight, everybody, his name is John McCooey, president of Belvedere Health Services. We actually met. We had a nice chat a few weeks back, and I invited him to come and present and talk a little bit about his organization and his current efforts to attract new employees that live in the communities in which they serve. So, John, thank you for joining us very much. I appreciate it.
Hey, Zach, I really want to thank you for inviting us to talk. I'm here tonight with Maria Rallier, who's the head of hiring at Belvedere and training. So I just want to tell you a bit about Belvedere, and let me just see if I can share the screen. So, Belvedere is a brain injury rehab company and a home care company an agency that's been in the Capital District for 20 years. We began, in 2001 in the Schuyler Inn. It was, we were originally founded by Father Young, who a person some of you may know. And what we do, both with the brain injury program and with the general home care, is we work to support people so that they can stay at home. And right now, as we're speaking tonight, we in 100 different homes around the Capital District, we have people who are helping to support clients to stay safe in their homes, to engage in the community, and go out shopping and see their families and whatnot. So, as I said, we've been here for 20 years. Mayor Sheehan came down the other day in late June and declared the 21st of June Belvedere Healthcare Day in Albany. We have people. I think we're a good employer. We have people who've been here from day one with me back in June of 2001. There are dozens of people who've been around in the company working for 10, 15, and as I said, 4 people for 20 years. But the reason I'm here tonight to talk to you is really we need more staff. And this is not a new or different message. You hear loads of people, especially people who hire entry-level people. You hear this as a theme that's prevalent right now in this part of the economic recovery from the pandemic. And basically what we're looking for people who are interested in supporting the people we care for. And we have I'm really sorry, I'm not great at paying attention to the slideshow. We employ all local people, and from the point of view of people who work for us, they like it because they totally make a difference in the lives of other people. We work as opposed to healthcare workers in a hospital or a nursing home. You actually bond with one person, you stay with them. There's a father who was, because of the behaviors that ended up with him getting a brain injury, he was separated from his son, alienated from the rest of his family. We help to basically curb those behaviors, keep him on the straight and narrow, reunite him with his son, whom he has a relationship with, and it's really incredibly I think rewarding for the people who work on the in the houses to see that, to know that they made a difference. We advocate for people who have been injured, through strokes or, different kinds of accidents, to get surgeries to restore their ability to eat, to their ability to walk. Our staff really bonds with the clients. So they really do make a difference in the communities. That's why people, they basically love their work. If you're doing this, it's not a Wall Street job. You're not going to make $1 million, but you are going to make a difference. And you're also going to make a living wage. Largely that's because we have, flexible schedules that we can accommodate anybody's desire to work weekends, nights, days. We have long hour shifts. This is not like a typical home care company where somebody goes in and, dresses somebody for a couple of hours, feeds them breakfast, and then goes, it's 2 hours and off to someplace else. We have 8-hour shifts, and we have benefits. And really, I think that one of the things that's really interesting is that you can make a very decent living wage. People are recently, with the increase in the hourly rate paid to fast food workers of $15, people say, well, that's really great, and you could that really turns a lot of people's heads. But those jobs at a fast food restaurant, they really limit your overtime hours. And the fact is we don't, despite the fact that it's extremely expensive, we actually have loads of overtime available to our staff. And, if you work, full-time at Belvedere with, around 26 hours of overtime a week, you can make, around $50,000. And it's really, for people who, are looking for an entry-level job, I think it's really, it's something that is incredibly rewarding. I think it's incredibly, it can be remunerative if you're willing to put in the time, and you really do feel great at the end of the day because you do make a difference. So that's a little bit about us, so that you can understand what we do. And if you know people or know of groups that we should be talking to, especially now that the federal unemployment supplement is about a month away, a little more than a month away from coming to an end. If you know of groups that we should be talking to, people who might be interested in a job like this, we take people with no training, we train them, orient them, and we look to put them into a career. We also have additional help for people who want to use this as a stepping stone to a larger career in healthcare, and we support educational programs for them. So that was my presentation. I wonder if any of you guys have questions that I could answer, or Maria. Actually, Maria's probably smarter about a lot of these things than I am in the technical details.
Thanks, Jen. I just want to, again, thank you for having us. I also wanted to add that, Belvedere has always been committed to be able to serve folks in their homes, to keep families together. And I think part of the challenge right now is that not having enough, staffing and the hiring. What I'm seeing, I also do admissions for the company. And what we're seeing is a lot of loved ones calling in and really needing help. They need help for their spouses or their children who might have had a car accident. They can't care for them all day because they have to work. And it's become a snowball effect where, now we're turning folks away that we can't help because of the challenges that we are having with hiring. Also, I wanted to add with John is that this is a career. And a lot of our folks, we've had folks that have been with Belvedere since we opened the doors, and it's a career. And, it's a living wage, and people do work overtime. A lot of our folks work overtime because, that's what they need to do, and they're dedicated to the company and to the clients they work with. It is a one-on-one job where they go into the individual's home to provide the care. So it's not like a nursing home or hospital where they're caring for, 10, 15 folks at once. So definitely, relationships develop quickly. So I just wanted to add that any ideas that you might have, any groups we can present to, we would love the opportunity to do that.
Thank you very much, Maria. We have Peg Harrigan with her hand up. Peg, go ahead.
Oh, hi. Thank you for that very good presentation. I was not aware of Belvedere Health Services. And I guess the questions hopefully might be helpful, especially I don't have any solutions for finding more staff, but I did have a couple of questions.
Sure.
Are the people whom you serve, is there private pay as well as Medicaid?
Mm-hmm.
One of
Sure.
the problems that I have encountered with a care for people who have needs, whether it's brain injuries or something like that, is that the ability to pay privately is not allowed by, some outfits only want to deal with Medicaid eligible. So you take other than Medicaid. I'm not saying you don't take them, but you you care for individuals who might be, I'm using the term private pay. I don't know the clinical
Yeah.
term for it. Okay.
You know, it's an excellent question. Yeah, sure. We work with anybody. You know, people who, you know, a lot of people are on Medicaid, you know, because a lot of people, you know, that's the category into which they fall. Like, you know, those are their economic circumstances. But we have worked with people in the private pay market from the beginning, and we'll continue to do that. And we're also flexible about, you know, about how we do that.
Okay, and then two other questions. I'll combine them so others can ask. Do you, and I'm guessing you do, but I wanted to ask it, do you deal with people with memory issues? I know you talked about training. I'm thinking of particularly with people who might have a form of dementia. It could be Alzheimer's, it could be frontal lobe dementia, it could be a whole variety of things. And you stressed in your presentation 8-hour shifts. Is there a minimum of an 8-hour shift if someone needed help in their home, or is it possible for someone who might need 2 4-hour shifts or something like that? Is that a possibility?
Yeah, you know, again, really, really good. And I'm sorry I didn't dwell on that a little bit longer, because yes, we'd be totally open to shorter shifts. We do that now. You know, some people do need somebody to just come in and you know, help them get up in the morning, help them bathe, eat, dress, you know, and get into their routine of the day, whatever that is. So that can be, you know, 2 hours, and that's fine with us. A lot of people need more than that, but you know, and we because we deal with brain injuries, we're very used to all kinds of cognitive, you know, challenges that people have. Memory issues are just one of them. You know, we definitely have helped people who have various degrees of Alzheimer's, various degrees of dementia. That's something, you know, that we're really structured, very much structured to deal with. We're also very, very used to, and you know, I think we're pretty good at dealing with people who have behaviors, you know, who are difficult. You know, the motto of the company is we care for and about people no matter what. And we absolutely, if somebody can be difficult or, you know, a challenge, then, you know, that's fine with us. And our staff are trained to deal with them.
Thank you very much.
We have a whole, actually, you know, in addition to just home care, we have a range of clinicians who support people. So we have people who do work on budgeting, on accommodating transportation, you know, psychological, emotional issues, and behavioral issues. So we have people who deal with all those things. And then also just the necessary elements of just helping out with housing, with doctor's appointments, with interpreting what the doctor is saying, communicating among various people who are important in a client's life. Yeah, that's all what we're about. Absolutely.
I just quickly wanted to add that a lot of our staff can work part-time, they can work full-time. Our staff are per diem, so it does allow staff to choose, you know, if they want to work 12-hour shifts, 4-hour shifts. We have some folks in the community we serve that get 2-hour shifts. And that's why we do it that way, to provide the flexibility. We have staff, if they can only work weekends, if this is going to be a secondary job for them, then, you know, we have shifts available on weekends. So it really is, we're able to really create a very flexible schedule based on what the employee needs.
Maria and John, so right now we're live on Facebook to many sites right now. Do you want to tell the public about how you can apply if you're interested in joining?
Sure. We'll we can send you our flyers, our electronic flyers, and have those go up. We can also, I don't know, do you still have the shared screen?
Sure.
From here. This.
We also have the Belvedere Healthcare, healthservices.com can also apply there. There's a direct link to apply.
But we can also
Great.
get you, Zach, and it's very kind of you to offer, our electronic flyers. And so we can send those to you tomorrow.
Great. Sounds great. Thank you very
Yeah.
much.
So I really, really appreciate your time and attention, and thank you very much for listening. It's great to see the kind of community involvement and the local interest that people have in everything from, water and sewer and how stormwater is gathered to, what's happening with local dogs and stuff like that. It's really great. So thank you very much. It's a wonderful organization.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, John, and thank you very much. Okay.
Hope to see you guys soon.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. Councilman O'Brien just sent me a little notice that there's going to be some Albany Police Department pop-up barbecue and movie events. There's going to be one August 24th at Eagle Point, Sunset Park. And then there's going to be September the 6th at Rosemont Park. All right. So also, Councilman O'Brien, if he's on, there is some updates to give everybody about the playground redesign at Westland Hills Park off of Colvin Ave between Colvin and Austin. Mike O'Brien, go ahead.
Yep. Yeah, we've been having meetings with Jonathan Jones and a representative from a company called Compan that makes playground equipment. And Joe's wife, Karen, she's one of the participants, Zach, Hyde, myself, Justin Atlas from Recreation Department also. And basically, there's going to be a project that's going to cost approximately $132,000 at Westland Hills Park. They're going to remove some of the equipment and then replace it. And I can give you a list of, if Zach can pull up the slides. I'm looking at the hard copies, but I can tell you what's coming out and what's going in.
Everybody can see the slides.
Yeah, this is the revised proposal. I don't know, it's about, I can count the pages to tell you how, but it's the one that says new playground equipment, phase 1 and phase 2. But yeah, okay, that yeah, back a little bit. Okay. Well, yeah, this is part of the phase 1, and that's they had an inspection of the existing equipment by expert company, and the cost of repairs to the swings and the springers, those are the rocking toys, and repairs to composite structure. That's the base that's under all of the existing equipment, and replacement of surfacing and containment. Apparently, under rules, each apparatus is supposed to have a defined boundary around it. So the items that are going to stay, which are that big climbing apparatus, the swings that are close to the pool, the tire swing that's close to the pool, and I'm trying to think of something else is going to stay too. Yeah, the rocking dinosaurs, the tire swing, the swings next to the pool. The swings by the hill are coming out. One of them must have been hit by a truck a few years ago because it has a dent in it and it's out of plume. So those two swings on the hill center are coming out, and they're going to be replaced by a new set of swings, which is going to go roughly where the helixes are. Those three climbing helixes, they're going to come out. And there is the big climbing apparatus with swings, that's staying. It required a few repairs, but that is staying. Also, another new piece of equipment is going to be an embankment slide, one slide. That is, you can see in that picture in the upper part of it. That's going to conform to the slope of the hill. Down in the lower left-hand corner, that is going to be a new toddler playground with some small climbing apparatus. And basically that's suitable for probably ages about 2 to 5. And then the big existing climbing apparatus, I think, is targeted for ages 5 through 12. Then the total, this one slide, which we were just on, said the total was 129,000, but they really upped it up to 132 because we had some requests. Because some of the equipment we wanted to save, like the big climber, actually required, some of the some of the devices that fasten, some of the fasteners need to be replaced in it, particularly along the bridge, but it is repairable. And the time frame, well, the repair work, and correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding was the repair work is going to be done this year. If they can start any of the new construction this year, they will do so. But maybe some of it will have to be completed next season, particularly the embankment slide, because that was years ago when they first built the park, they had an embankment slide. And so that was kind of a special request in all the discussions that we had with them. Some of the items that are going out are like the bongo drums and that little 4-pointed seesaw for very small kids. And that functions of that are going to be replaced in the new toddler playground, which was the one. Zach, if people have questions, I know the report has a picture of each piece of equipment that is going to be put in. The toddler playground will probably remind me of something. The toddler climbing apparatus is like the one that was recently added in Rosemont. Has a big climber close to Rosemont Street, and then over more towards Brevidor, it has a toddler climber. So that's it. I mean, I have to say that Jonathan and the company were cooperative with us. We argued originally for example, they were going to put, I would not, what do they call those? They're swinging devices, not a bungee device, but
Zip line.
The zip line. Originally, they were going to put a zip line in where the big climbing apparatus was, and we said, well, we think the climbing apparatus gets more use than a zip line, which could accommodate 2 people at a time. Of course, the spray pool is going to stay where it is. The benches are going to stay. But yeah, we think it's a net gain for the playground, and appreciate the fact that the city's budgeting $132,000 towards it. But probably the total completion of it won't be until next year. But hopefully we'll see the repairs this year. And we'll see maybe some of the new equipment
Good. Okay.
come in.
So do you have any questions for Councilman O'Brien?
The company that's doing this is the company that did some work, I think in 2017 at Rosemont Street. So if you want to see an example of their equipment, go over to the two climbers on Rosemont Street.
Okay, Joe Kniff, you have your hand up there.
Karen has her hand up.
Switch chairs.
Okay. Yeah, Karen was actively involved with our meetings.
It never occurred to me to ask when we were looking at equipment that was going to be removed. Some of those pieces are, in my mind, I think they're viable. Those three, climby things that look like sails, they seem to be in fairly good condition. Are they just being junked? Can they be used somewhere else in the city? Can they be
Well, we were, quite frankly, I do not know. Yeah. But what we were told, and at least my observation, I got grandkids ranging from almost 8 years old down to 1 year old, and they didn't get as much use as much of the other equipment. So when we all met, and we had sort of a limited budget, originally it was 129,500, and by persuasion we got them to increase it by almost 3,000. It was just a consensus as to which items. Well, the swing that was out of plumb, it was pretty logical that had to be replaced. But the helixes, no, that was more a thing of consensus. Same thing with that 4-pointed seesaw, which is simply.
But can they be utilized? Can they be utilized somewhere else rather than just thrown in the trash?
That's a good question. I guess we can ask that. I
Yeah.
mean, as you say, it doesn't look cracked or bent or tipping over. It was just a question of, with the space of the new stuff, which there seemed to be a consensus around, what would have to be moved. And so, I can ask that question. Obviously, I guess there'd be some cost in putting it somewhere else, because apparently whenever they put new equipment in or upgrade, they have to define the area around the apparatus and have to put some kind of a subsurface below it. That only goes a matter of, 6 or 8 inches, but it's some kind of surface that's harmless to little kids falling on.
Even another playground, or
Yeah.
someone may want to take that, we could give it as a gift and just have them utilize it rather than add it to the landfill.
Yeah. Okay, we can ask that question.
Like that.
Jonathan and Justin Atlas. But we had, I don't know, I forget the number of meetings, Karen. I know you came to some of them, but it was kind of an evolving consensus, and they seem, by and large, seem to be listening to us. It did have the budget constraint. Obviously, if we wanted everything we want, it probably would have been twice the cost. But the $132,000 is probably, I don't know. I mean, I think that Wessel Hills is a nice park. I know I use it, and I use Rosemont Park too, and I use Buckingham Park. So we have a pretty good, array of parks uptown that covers this meeting area. Well, and then I'm probably even missing some, because we cover Eagle Point too. But so I don't know. And any other questions?
Any other questions? Vince?
Talking about the playground equipment that you're taking out of Coven over there, Eagle Hill has asked for playground equipment numerous times to no prevail, nothing. They ignore our last request was for a splash pad, and they don't even have to run a water line. I got the water right there, nothing. So when you look at the playground equipment that is up at Eagle Hill, it's used by, majority of it is used by the school, which at one time went up to 6th grade. It's now down to 5th grade. And the reason I bring this up is because the playground equipment we have is meant for a real young crowd. So that means that the upper age has nothing. And and again, Jonathan Jones was asked numerous times, any new equipment? We never get a positive answer. So if you talk to Jonathan Jones and tell him to come on out to Lewinello Park and look at the age range of our equipment, look at the age range of the people that are using that equipment, and we'll take anything. It's got to be upper age range, not the lower age range, because I have enough of that equipment. So, and I also want to tell you, I also have the room to put the equipment in. Now, he might tell you that we have a basketball court out there, but he not going to tell you that possibly you can't use the basketball court because it floods. And I just talked to Mike Matteo from the Albany Water Department, and he actually opened up the drain for us so some of that water can go out. So that's the story with Eagle Hill. Thank you.
Thanks, Vince. Okay, I just want to share a important announcement that I received from Jordan Carlio Evangelist at University of Albany earlier today, and also Ray Moran posted it on Facebook. There's going to be a training exercise at the academic podium at University of Albany involving the University Police Department and the Gilliland Police. There's going to be use of police radios, simulated ammunitions, and there's going to be role players. So this is not an emergency situation. It's going to be a exercise. So if anybody, just don't be alarmed if you see a heavy police presence at the University of Albany. And they are recommending that during the exercise, which is going to be Sunday, August the 1st, from 8 a.m. to 12, to avoid the central academic podium at the University at Albany. Vince, go ahead.
Also, I want to bring up to what Zach just said, Eagle Hill, Albany County, and Tom Hoey, Councilman Tom Hoey, we're going to have a food giveaway, and it's actually going to be in SUNY campus. It's going to be the 12th of August. We haven't gotten the information yet, but as soon as I get the flyer, I will start passing it on. We are looking for volunteers, and I did one up in Schenectady, and I guess when all said and done, I was flabbergasted. They had 900 cars come through that we loaded groceries onto their car. So again, if you feel like you want to help us, the flyer will be coming out. It's not really, it's a 4-hour deal. You get there around 8:30, you start packing the bags, you put the bags in a determined location, and at 9:30, the cars start going around a course that's going to be plotted out. You ask no questions, and you either put it in the trunk or wherever they tell you they'd like to have the food. And that's it. So if you can help us out, we'll be appreciative, and we'll leave it at that. Thank you, Zach.
Yeah, Vince. Anybody else have any updates and items to share around the neighborhoods? Tim, go ahead. Just gotta mute yourself, Tim. Tim, just gotta mute yourself, Tim.
They told me specifically.
You got it, Tim? No?
Same thing.
Just gotta mute yourself. Oh, okay. Tim, we'll come back to you. Ray Joyce.
Sorry. We're in a Zoom meeting.
Yeah, thanks, Zach. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Like I always have to do an audio test now. I just want to make sure everybody's aware the Albany County Legislature has just opened up their grants program for nonprofits. Many nonprofits in our neighborhood have received this money in the past. Westland Hills, Steamer 10 Theater, a number of groups, and even the Pine Hills Neighborhood Association received some money for work we did in the park in front of Center Station. So if anybody's aware of any nonprofits in our neighborhoods, everybody's struggling right now, but if they're looking for a little grant money for a special project, please reach out to me. Thanks.
Okay, all right, thanks, Ray. We do have a question in the chat from Maureen. I missed the date of the food giveaway. How do you sign up to volunteer, Vince?
Very good, thank you. The food giveaway is August 12th. We're waiting for the flyer to come from the Jordan evangelist from SUNY. And as soon as that comes out, I definitely will make sure that Maureen gets a flyer and the date, and so will everyone else. So as like I said, Frank Camissa will be distributing flyers, Tom Hoey, myself. Believe us, we will hit as many people as we can. And if you never worked a food giveaway, it's the most organized thing that you ever want to see. And it's done by, I believe, 2 nuns. I walked away from that food giveaway, first flabbergasted at the way it was organized, and secondly, the number of cars. When you see 900 cars line up and they just keep on going by and you ask no questions, they can come by you with a caddy or a Lamborghini or whatever. You just put the food where they want it and away they go. So thank you, Maureen. You will get your flyer.
Great, thanks a lot, Vince. Anybody else got questions?
I see there's one other question there. Where on the campus is it? Well, that is going to be in the flyer, but I'll tell you right now, over there by the tennis courts, that's Dutch Quad. And if you're looking at the tennis courts, on the left-hand side is Dutch Quad's parking lot. So it's going to be in that general area. We will park in the first bay of Dutch Quad parking lot, and then they're going to set up a rotary that goes around. You're going to enter Fuller Road, come in and do a rotary, and you're going to exit, I believe, I'm not sure on this, you're going to exit out Western Avenue. So it's going to be a big loop, like, but believe me, it's, I hope I get a lot of people there. I'd be honored to do that. Thank you.
Karen?
When the water presentation was presented, it made me think of something that I see as I walk around the neighborhood. Some residents, in order to accommodate more parking on their property, are paving sections of their lawns. And if you look at the collective square footage that's being paved, that also adds to the amount of water that goes into the sewers because it's not being absorbed, on their lawns. And I think it's concerning, number one, just for that, but also people are paving their lawns. So it really is detracting from the appearance of a residential neighborhood. So I don't know, how do we address that? Do you need a permit to do that? I think it's a problem. It's a problem in our neighborhood.
Yeah, you do need a permit if you're going to pave anything other than what your existing driveway is. And the code contains some language on it. I can't tell you exactly what it is.
Mm-hmm.
I know obviously a 2-car garage is entitled to a 2-lane driveway. But I notice sometimes a single car garage has more than 1-lane driveway. I'd have to really check the code to see what it says. But somebody isn't supposed to just arbitrarily dig up their driveway and dig up their lawn and pave it without getting a building permit, and then it would be screened for whatever the space requirements are. I mean, there's only so much of your lot for each district, each zoning code you're in, that can be built upon. So I can, I can call up, I guess Rick LaJoy or Brad Glass would have that answer.
I wonder, since the city is recognizing that we have overflow within our sewers, we can't accommodate the rainfalls that we're getting. Are they also looking at permits that they give and residents that just arbitrarily say, I'm going to pave half my lawn because I need more parking?
In theory, yes. As you know, they seem to be approving a lot of multi-residential buildings, which of course puts strain on our sewer system. In theory, yes, although sometimes I have my doubts about that, but in theory, yes.
Okay.
We have Alicia Purdy. She said, can someone speak to any accommodation of any ADA playground equipment being put in at Westland Hills, or items that might be used by parents and children at the same time? Have those been addressed or discussed? I don't think there was any like parent children equipment. It's geared only to the children. And I think that the upgrades to the existing equipment are to bring them into ADA compliance. Is that right, Mike?
Yes. There was some discussion about, do we need more benches? I guess that would be sort of in an ADA frame and parenting, but basically the consensus was we wanted the money put into children's equipment. Obviously the problem was we were given a capped budget number, which they allowed us to go almost $3,000 over, but so we were focused on more playground equipment and bringing and repairing the existing items. So no, we really didn't focus on that.
Thank you, Mike. I can actually clarify now. I wasn't able to talk a few minutes ago when I typed that. I didn't mean playground equipment for adults. I meant there are some parks where parents and children are able to. So Westland Hills is a park where a high amount of parents stay and hang out with their kids and play. And there are parks like over in Elm Avenue, down in Bethlehem, where there are actually things where an adult and a child, for example, can swing together at the same time, especially if it's a very young child. Or, like over at in Colony at the crossings, for example, they have ramps that take you up to interactive toys that kids can play with, and they're kind of at the same level as kids who are not disabled. And so this is really one of the first meetings I've sat in where I've seen such a great plan. And we love Westland Hills. We're extremely familiar with it over there. So I was just curious if there was any discussion about kind of expanding how parents and kids interact, maybe attracting more parents to get involved with playing with kids, or attracting people who have disabled children to be able to sort of enjoy some of the things that. So I was just curious. I didn't hear it in the presentation. I didn't know if it was even on the table. I was just kind of curious about that.
No, that really didn't come up. Of course, obviously, if you go to the other side of the hill where the Little League is, that's heavy with parents, but mostly watching. But I don't know, from my experience when I go up there, particularly, with most of the kids, there's a parent with them, but for the most part, they're just watching them.
Katina Melrose, you have a hand up.
Yeah, I want to speak to the Kunos point earlier about people paving over lawns. We had two issues with Melrose, one on Melrose proper and one on Hawthorne between Melrose and Washington. We complained because the two homeowners paved over a substantial part of their lawns to accommodate, on the Hawthorne case, 4 cars, the Melrose case 3, and complain that there was no permits. We C-click fixed it. So nothing has been done, and we kind of let the matter lie because everybody got tired of complaining and hearing crickets. And it irritates me because, as Lacunas correctly mentioned, that's a problem when you have what the water department continually talks about. So just FYI, there's been people, we did go through the process of C-Click Fix, but there doesn't seem it to be any mitigation.
All right. Is there anything
Mike?
else? Anything else to bring up tonight, folks?
Yes, Mike, would you comment on the soccer fields or the possibility of a soccer field?
Well, yeah, we created this joint general services committee and rec committee, and it started to look at, actually this was created well over a year ago. And, it was specifically to look at the golf course and expanding recreational opportunities there. And of course, at that time, a number of people that, promote youth soccer came in and said, well, you have, much acreage that only about half of what the city owns here is actually fairways for golf. So, so they put out an RFP to consider an athletic field on a flat piece of land next to around the third or fourth fairway. It got a lot of blowback because in order to access that, the cars would have to drive in through Hartman Road, which is very narrow, all residential road. So they kind of dropped that and put out another RFP saying, no, we don't mean just athletic fields, and we can't put them here. We mean more other recreational components like walking, not just wintertime walking when the golf course is closed, but and maybe an alternate use of the tennis courts at the golf course, which don't get a lot of use. But when I was talking with Frank Ciolin, the issue came up about, over in Hoffman Park, they have, St. Rose has a big chunk of it, but they do have a soccer field there on it would be the east side of, I think it's Frisbee Road. And then they have a baseball field, which is not used much. So I put the question to Frank that, couldn't they weigh out whether a soccer field is more important than a full baseball field, which doesn't appear to have any league or anything playing in it. And there was some money budgeted for enhancement of soccer fields. I not sure, I'd have to really inquire. We're going to have a meeting with General Services about some of the playground, some of the General Services takes care of the grounds of playgrounds, not the playground equipment. But I know on the 16th of August, we're having a meeting with General Services to discuss, well, in particular, Woodlawn Park, but I think the issue of field maintenance is also going to come up. So that's as much discussion recently on soccer fields as I've had anyway, but it will come up. Our working group on the golf course, that meets, we have a meeting scheduled. We haven't scheduled, but we will be scheduling a meeting for September to see what they got back from the second RFP that they put out for expanded recreational opportunities there. I don't know if that answers the question or not.
Thanks, Mike.
Does anybody have anything else? All right. All right. Well, thanks everybody for joining us tonight here on the Zoom on YouTube and Facebook. I'm Zach Simpson, and we'll see you next time in a couple of months. Okay, everybody?
Okay, thank you.
Thanks for your attendance, as always.
Thank you.
Stay safe and be well.